It's 6 o'clock Eastern. Lineups are being locked. We're going to find out whether or not the Suns can knock off yet another team above 500. Can the Magic hang with the Pelicans? Will the Spurs take care of business versus the Pistons? And of course, what's going to happen when AD finally returns for the Los Angeles Lakers? Hello, everyone. I'm Matt Moore from the Action Network, senior NBA writer, joined by Raheem Palmer and Chris Raybon. And this is Heat Check, presented by BetMGM, getting you set for tonight's NBA action. We'll have you set for all the picks, props, odds, sides, numbers that you need to know. And all of it can be found in our award-winning app, which you should download at this very second, like right now. Like seriously, go to the App Store on your phone and get our app right now. It's the best way to track your bets. It's the best way to get the best analysis. Check it out right now. Fellas, before we get to tonight's game, the big story of the night is Anthony Davis returns for the Los Angeles Lakers tonight. He hasn't been officially listed in, so we can't get props on him. But we expect him to play tonight. The Mavericks are still favored versus the Lakers. Raheem, what are you expecting to see as AD returns, not just tonight, but going forward for the Lakers?
I think the biggest thing is that, first things first, this Lakers team already has a top-tier defense. Even without AD and LeBron, they're still one of the best defensive teams in the league, but the offense is going to improve. Davis is averaging 22 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists, but more importantly, they're just 28th in offensive rating, since LeBron and AD have been out. So they're just scoring 105 points per 100 possessions. And with AD on the floor, they're scoring 116 points per 100 possessions. So this offense is really going to be better. And I think that the Lakers are really going to make a run.
Raybon, is this going to improve? The Lakers have been largely, I haven't wanted to bet on it without LeBron and AD. Like it's been just like they'll hang, but I don't like any of the numbers. They're such a public team. How is AD getting back and impact your betting on the Lakers tonight?
Yeah, I'm thinking about betting them tonight. I think, number one, AD has only played 23 of the Lakers' 58 games. So you look at some of the Lakers' numbers, like against the spread, I think they're one of the worst road teams. But a lot of that, has come with LeBron out, come with AD out. So it's going to be a big improvement, but more so they're playing the Dallas Mavericks. And the Dallas Mavericks are the kings of just underperforming expectations. And I think big men, a team that has big men like the Lakers now with Drummond, now you're going to have AD back. I think that's going to give Dallas problems, on the inside. You have Kristaps a lot of times will be the big man on the floor for Dallas. I know they're playing Dwight Powell a little bit more, but I think this is really going to be problematic for Dallas. I would not be surprised if the Lakers flat out win this game tonight.
This is the marquee game tonight, is the only game that's on national television on TNT. So the only thing I can tell you is that whoever has a better night between Luka Doncic and Anthony Davis will be talked about as a possible MVP candidate over Nikola Jokic, because apparently that's what we do whenever anybody has a big night on national TV. Let's get to the big bet. This is our best bets of the night, whatever is the side or total that you have the most confidence in. Raheem Palmer, let's start with you. Where do you want to go?
I'm going to go to Boston Celtics plus 1.5. Matter of fact, you can actually take the money line because I think they win this game outright. Let's look at the things. The Suns, they're on a long East Coast road trip. They're playing their 7th game in 11 days. So they're tired. They're playing 3 games in 4 nights. They just played the Bucks, the Sixers, and now they play the Celtics. They played an overtime game against the Bucks. They played a tough game against the Sixers. So it's just, that's a lot to overcome. we just saw the Warriors last night. They get tired after their 5-game road trip. Now, when you look at the Suns defense, I want to give a shout out to DMX, RIP. They're slipping. They're slipping and falling, can't get up. Past 2 weeks, they're just 114. They're just 15th in defensive rating. They're giving up 114 points per 100 possessions. This is a top 5 defense, but over the last couple of weeks, they're not playing that well. And then more importantly, you look at the Celtics. They're surging. They won 8 out of their last 10. Jason Tatum is hot. Minus the last game against the Bulls, they had a little letdown spot on Monday. This 13-game stretch, he's averaging 29.5 points on 51% shooting. Also, since the trade deadline, they got rid of Daniel Tice. They got Robert Williams in there. They're 6th in defensive rate. They're, giving up 108 points per 100 possession. So this defense has gotten better. I know Jaylen Brown isn't playing tonight, but this is a rested Celtics team. They had 3 days off to recover from the Bulls loss on Monday, and they're playing a tired Suns team. So give me the Celtics. They win this game outright.
I can't believe you betrayed the Suns like this. I think Chris Raybon's with me. I think we're on the other side. Chris?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the Suns have been, and I get it. It's a back-to-back. It's a long road trip. But the Suns have been the exception to the rule as far as that this year. They are 9-4 against the spread on back-to-backs, and I mean, Robert Williams is great, except he's not playing tonight either. So you got Jaylen Brown out, you got Robert Williams out, Fournier out. That team is still a little bit shorthanded. I'm a little bit worried about the letdown against the Bulls. You know, that's not a team you want to have a letdown against to give you confidence to go play this Phoenix Suns team that, I mean, they've been hot all year. So yeah, I'm on the other side of that. I mean, I get it with the back-to-back. Maybe Phoenix starts regressing. You know, you think at some point they're going to come back down to earth, but man, they've been tough to bet against this season.
I will say in Raheem's favor, the Suns this season are 9-8-2 against the spread as a road favorite. So like they've been an underdog in a lot of spots, which is why it's been so great to bet on them, right? Is that we get good value. But I mean, the secret's out, right? They've just knocked off all these really good teams. So I hear what
it's the spot. It's the spot. But, I mean, at some point you could at some point you gotta have a dead spot. You not like even the 7-3-9 Warriors, they've had spots to where it's just like, you know, they lost to the Detroit Pistons with Drummond and Monroe. You know what I'm saying? These aren't video games.
Yeah, I hear you. And I guess part of it is you look at the number and you go Celtics plus, it's only 1.5 though. But that's kind of, I mean, that's bait, right? Like the gift, like,
bruh. First of all, if I was nice enough to go 73-9 in 2K, I probably wouldn't even be sitting here right now. I'm just saying.
All right, Chris Raybon, where do you want to go for tonight's game?
I mean, this is going to be ugly, but I'm going with the Charlotte Hornets. I think they're +1 now, just 1 point underdogs. The line was 1.5 earlier when I bet it, but they're playing the Chicago Bulls in Chicago, and I just have no trust in this Bulls team. It's going to be an ugly game on both sides. You're obviously dealing with two depleted rosters. Zach LaVine is out for the Bulls due to COVID-19 protocols, and I just not liking what I see from Chicago since they traded for Nikola Vucevic. They're just 5-10 with a negative 3.7 point differential, and they're essentially worse than than before they got him. You know, their point differential was like -1 point something. So it's been a struggle for Chicago. I know they just knocked off the Celtics, but I don't think this team is a lock. You know, even at home, even against a bad team, to get a victory. I think this is a coin flip game. And if you look at our NBA Pro projections, the Charlotte Hornets are actually projected as the favorite, according to our models, by about 1.1 points. So the wrong team, I would argue, is favored in this game, given the situation with Chicago without Zach LaVine and just how they've been playing with Nikola Vucevic in the lineup.
I love this spot. I looked this up today. The Bulls are 19th in offensive rating against switching defense, which is what the Hornets run the second most of any team in the league. So that's a great spot. The Bulls, you're right, have been terrible since the Vucevic trade. They just can't really figure out their rotations. If the starters play well, the bench has been awful. If the bench plays well, the starters have been rough. They just don't have enough playmakers. They need Zach LaVine back. I love it. Unfortunately, I cannot tell you because I have lost my last 10 of 11 bets involving the Charlotte Hornets.
Damn.
Because they hate me and I hate them and they can go away, even though I had a really sick Hornet starter jacket in junior high.
That was the best, you know, with that turquoise. Oh, yeah, that's sweet.
Yeah, it was nice.
I'm with Raybon on this. I mean, this Bulls defense is terrible. You know, they give up 117 points per 100 possessions. They have a net rating of -10 since the Vucevic trade. So I'm riding with him.
For my bet, I'm going to Pistons Spurs. Not going to go with the big marquee games. Not going to go with the fancy ones. Going to Pistons Spurs. I'm taking the over of 216.5. So the Pistons on the road this season have the most games in which they've hit their team total over. So they've outperformed expectations on their point total base versus the market the most of any team when they're on the road this season. Now, look, I mean, road home splits are obviously really messy this season. If that was the only data point, I wouldn't be going with it. But in their last 11 games, especially with the way that the Pistons have been playing, going with all their young guys, they're 11th in pace over the last 10 games. So more of an up-tempo game that's going to offset the Spurs that play a little bit slower. The Spurs offense is going to kind of do what it does. The Spurs defense has been slipping a little bit, especially in second quarters. It's been rough because they used to have Jakob Poeltl in that bench unit. and he would hold down in the second and fourth quarters. But now they're really having to stretch the rotation out, and they're not necessarily getting the kind of defensive performance against those bench units that we're expecting. Now, the Pistons obviously don't have a lot of talent, but the talent level on Detroit is largely flat, right? Like the starters and the bench are kind of intermixable, especially with who's in, who's out all the time for them. I like that angle. Plus, if you check in our app, the over has been hit with significant sharp signals that indicate some sharp money is coming in on them. If you check in our app also, the majority of the money, 59%, is on the under, and that's in terms of bets, but the money has come in on the over. So I'm riding with the sharps here, and I'm going to take Pistons Spurs over 216.5. Raheem, you're always hitting totals. Am I on target here?
Yeah, I think you're on target. I agree with that. I mean, I personally don't have anything on it, but I think you're right on target.
All right. Are you guys ready for the wheel?
Mm.
Okay. Every week we do this on Heat Check. We have a wheel with a number of different props on it. We are going to spin it, and whichever one it randomly hits on, you have to take an over or under position. We prepped for all the options, so we know which side we're going to be on all of these. Raheem, are you ready for the wheel?
I'm born ready.
Evan, producer extraordinaire, please hit the wheel for me. Okay.
Oh, we were just talking about this game.
Charlotte, that's Miles Bridges, points 15.5. Over or under, Raheem?
I'm going to go over. I mean, we were just talking about this game. This Bulls defense is not very good. I think more importantly is that, with Vucevic in the lineup, you need, solid wings around him who can actually defend and lock down guys. Now, Patrick Williams, he actually fits the profile of somebody who can be that, but as a rookie, he's not there yet. Miles Bridges is going to have no regard for human life. We've seen him dunk all over guys. I expect him to do that tonight. He's hit this total in 5 out of the last 7 games. There's no Hayward. There's no Ball. There's no Monk. So he's going to be taking a lot of field goal attempts. I mean, he's averaged 15 field goal attempts and 21 points per game in the last 7 games. And, this Bulls defense, I mean, as we said before, they're 24th for defensive rating, giving up 113 points per 100 possessions. So he should hit this over rather easily.
Yeah, the numbers have been all over the place. Like my last memory of the Bulls this week is obviously the Cavs putting up like 129 on them. And you're like, oh, that's terrible. I was a little surprised when I looked back. They actually haven't hit, because I was looking at the over in this game. Mm-hmm. They actually haven't had all that high scoring games. I don't know if that's pace or just inconsistency from the opponent. Charlotte looks so good this weekend versus Portland. I don't know. I'm a little uncertain of it, but I don't mind taking it. Pop quiz. Where did Kevin Harlan first use no regard for human life?
That's a good one. I don't know.
Everyone thinks it's on the LeBron dunk on Kevin Garnett, and it actually wasn't. It was a Kevin Garnett dunk because Kevin Harlan used to be the play-by-play announcer for the Minnesota Timberwolves. So when you're in NBA trivia night, you can go ahead and hit that one. Raybon, are you ready for me?
This is crazy for me. I watch games on mute because I play a lot of totals. And when you play unders, it feels like you're getting punched in the gut every single possession. So I put things on mute.
I do the same thing. Raheem. I'm right with you. I've been watching sports on mute for years now.
That's great. Awesome. Chris, are you ready for the wheel?
Absolutely.
All right, Evan, let's hit it.
I hope I get a Bridges too.
You did. The other Bridges.
Wow.
Yeah.
Phoenix, so Mikal Bridges. Rebounds only 3.5. What do you like, Raheem?
Yeah, I like this over. I know they're on a back-to-back. I get what Raheem talked about. I think that's why you're getting this total that's pretty easy to clear. He's done that in about 60% of his games. He's got to 4 or more. And without Jay Crowder in the lineup, he averages about a half a rebound more per 36 with Johnson on the floor instead. So, we haven't projected for 35.5 minutes tonight, even in the back-to-back. He's a young dude. I think he gets there, and with a couple rebounds to spare.
Another reason I like this one is the Celtics are a jump shooting team, right? Like they have a lot of perimeter action. It's all jump shots, so those rebounds are longer. Mikal covers a lot of space in those situations. So if that Suns defense holds up, which I think like if you're on the road, that's the one thing that's probably going to translate the best. The offense may not be there on the back-to-back, but that defense probably will be because of how well Monty Williams coaches. I like them being able to force misses and then be able to get those long rebounds.
Also Jay Crowder's out of the lineup too. So I like that.
Yeah. All right. I'm ready for mine. Evan, hit it. Is there a third Bridges I can get? Is there another Bridges I can get on this wheel? Hit the wheel. All right. Kobe White, Chicago, points and assists over under 20.5. I am taking the under on this one. So I mentioned earlier about the switch defense. Kobe White in particular, against all 7 different types that have been identified using second spectrum data that I had a friend pull today. Kobe does the second worst in points per chance versus switch defense. He struggles in both passing and assists, because if you're switching everything, you don't have that easy open man look. That's the whole point of switch, right? Is you keep the guy in front of you. You don't have to send help. Kobe White's not good enough to really have to bring defenders on. I like this spot a lot in terms of being able to hold the under here on Kobe White versus Charlotte. Charlotte's defense, I think, surprisingly, has been really good. They're versatile, and that athleticism, I think, is going to help versus Kobe White, especially when I get this points and assists under, where it's not just points, because that points total I'm looking at, it's actually 13.5. It's pretty low, but points and assists, even with Levine out, the expectation is for him to get all of these minutes. He's still not putting up numbers because he's really continuing to struggle. He's a big reason why Chicago hasn't been able to hold up without Levine. I'll take the under 20.5 for Kobe White points and assists. All right. In our final segment, it's an old axiom in betting. You got to fade the public because, well, the general public, not you guys. You guys are geniuses that are watching us right now. You all know your stuff, but the general public tends to struggle. We asked on Twitter a question about tonight's Lakers versus Dallas game. The spread is Mavs minus, it was 2.5. I think when we asked a question, it's now 3. Mavs are up to -3. You voted in support of Dallas. You think Dallas is going to cover versus the Los Angeles Lakers tonight with AD's return just barely at 51.9% of the vote. So I ask you, Raheem Palmer, are you with the public and going to take the Mavs? Are you fading the public?
I'm fading the public. I mean, the public stinks. Let's be real. No disrespect to everybody watching this. You guys were wrong.
Rude.
No disrespect to anybody watching this, but you guys were wrong yesterday on the Nuggets. You guys were wrong last week on the Mavericks. So I'm fading you guys again. I mean, when we spoke about it earlier, Anthony Davis, he makes a huge impact on his Lakers offense, even if he just plays 20 minutes. This Lakers offense is 28th in offensive rating, scoring 105 points per 100 possessions. I think more importantly is the Mavericks are 19th in opponent field goal percentage at the rim. They're giving up 64.6%. With AD in the lineup, he's at the 90th percentile in field goal percentage at the rim. He's shooting 77%. So, I mean, the Lakers with Drummond and AD and Montrezl Harrell, they should be able to dominate the rim here. The Mavericks, they're supposed to be a great offensive team. They have Luka, but they're just 17th for offensive rating over the last 2 weeks. They're scoring 113 points per 100 possessions. This team's not really a great three-point shooting team, which is, exactly where I'm kind of looking for when I want to fade the Lakers. I think, the Lakers aren't a great three-point shooting team either. So I like to, take teams who can shoot the three well against the Lakers because the Lakers are such a good defensive team. So, I mean, my model makes this game Mavericks minus 1.5. So I think at 2.5 or more, I think you got a positive expected value wager. And I think the Lakers got a chance to win this game outright.
I was going to ask you, do you like the money line? Raybon, are you going to go with the public and back Luka? Or are you going to go ahead and slide in there with the Lake Show?
Yeah, I got to go with the Lakers. I mean, the Mavericks, I feel like we've been talking about this all year, continuously underperform in spots where you think they should be good. They're just 6-14 against the spread this year as a home favorite. They're just, and looking at Dallas, I think Raheem hit it. Like, their defense at the rim is going to struggle. And I think, the Lakers are one of those teams. They're built around big men these days for the most part. And so with 80 back, that's only going to help their cause. I think the Mavericks are going to struggle on both sides in this game. So I'm expecting the Lakers to win this game outright as well.
I really want to be contrarian. I want to go the other way, but I just can't. I can't. And not at 2.5, especially not at 3. I got to grab the Lake Show here. For me, it's about Dennis Schroeder, right? Is such an important cog in the offense with LeBron out. He needs a pick and roll partner. Doesn't really have a serious threat with way Andre Drummond's getting a lot of attention thrown at him, and Drummond has struggled. AD makes it easier for him. Andre Drummond needs somebody to draw the attention so he can get weak side tap backs and putbacks, dunking the ball on offensive rebounds. AD does that. Defensively, it's going to help. Offensively, it's going to help. Defensively, they've already been great. Dallas is, I believe, 19th in point differential versus the spread versus top 10 defensive teams per cleaning the glass. Like, I like that stat a lot because what it tells you is what kind of teams do they struggle against and what kind of teams do they thrive against. The Mavericks want to get you in a shootout. They don't like these grinded out games. Plus, I got to be honest with you, Andre Drummond and Montrezl Harrell, I just think you're going to bully Kristaps Porzingis, who is just, he's just not physical enough to handle that kind of intensity. I got to grab the Lake Show here as they start to get things right with LeBron's return right around the corner here in the next couple of weeks. So I'm going to grab the Lakers plus 2.5. Let's run down our chosen bets for the night. Raheem's got Celtics plus 1.5 because he has betrayed his beloved Phoenix Suns that he's been supporting all year. Miles Bridges over 15.5 points and the Lakers plus 2.5. Raybon has got the Hornets plus 1.5. Mikal Bridges over 3.5. So much Bridges action tonight. And it's infrastructure week. And Lakers plus 2.5. That was lame. I've got Detroit, San Antonio over 216.5. I've got Kobe White under 20.5 points and assists. And I'm also on the Lakers. This has been Heat Check presented by BetMGM. Make sure to download the Action Network app to catch all of our analysis and everything that you need to know to track tonight's games and everything. We'll see you again next Wednesday with another edition at 6 p.m. Eastern of Heat Check provided by the Action Network.